Pink Triangle. Pink Triangle Products was founded in London in 1979. The company became famous for its high-quality audio equipment, primarily record players. The brand's name and logo refer to a historical symbol associated with the tragic events of the 20th century. The creators used the pink triangle as a sign of reinterpretation and remembrance, rather than in a direct or literal sense. Pink Triangle was founded by Neal Jackson and Arthur Khoubesserian. Their roles in the company were different but complementary. Neal Jackson was the man who stood at the origins of Pink Triangle as a company, or business, not just as an engineering experiment. Unlike Khoubesserian, Jackson was not known as a radical designer or theorist, but it was he who played a key role in shaping the Pink Triangle brand and building up production. From the very beginning, Pink Triangle was a niche, almost anti-marketing company. Without someone capable of keeping it within the bounds of real business, it would hardly have gone beyond the engineering prototype stage. Jackson's role was critical. He became the practical counterbalance to his partner's radical engineering ideas. Arthur Khoubesserian is Pink Triangle in an engineering sense. Arthur was the chief engineer and ideologist. Khoubesserian was deeply interested in the physics of vibrations, resonances, and mechanical systems. His approach to vinyl turntables was sharply different from the prevailing ideas of the time. He did not rely on mass, rigidity, and inertia. Khoubesserian proceeded from the principles that energy should be controlled, not dampened by mass. He believed that materials should have predictable resonance properties and that the design should be light but rigid, not heavy. It was Khoubesserian who insisted on the use of acrylic and aviation composites as structural materials. To put it bluntly, Khoubesserian essentially created an alternative school of thought in the world of vinyl record players. The first Pink Triangle turntable, often referred to as the original, already contained several revolutionary technical solutions for its time. It had a lightweight Aerolam aluminium subchassis with a 3-spring suspension and a top panel, on which the tone arm and an acrylic platter were mounted. A low-noise synchronous DC motor with electronic speed control, with tachometric feedback, was used for the drive, which, together with the weight of the structure, virtually eliminated unwanted vibrations. This approach, rigid frame, reinforced damping material and precisely balanced motor, ensured outstanding sound quality. Soon, the original project was modified into the PT-1 model. The turntable retained the same suspension and circuitry. In the PT-1 model, engineers changed the position of the motor to reduce its impact on the belt and tone arm. The PT-1 turntable in this version was produced from 1979 to 1985, and the model became the company's best-selling turntable during that period. In the mid-1980s, the brand expanded its line of turntables. The PT-2 replaced the PT-1, featuring a synchronous drive with an external power supply. At the same time, the company released a junior model, the Little Pink Thing LPT, a simplified turntable based on the same principles, but cheaper and without a suspension system. There was also a budget version called Export, the PT-2 design with a power supply built into a wooden case. As the name suggests, the model was created specifically for export. More precisely, specifically for simplified shipping. At the end of the 1980s, the PT Anniversary, a luxury version, was released, higher build quality, the return of the glass top disc, and a new composite subchassis with a DC motor and external power supply. In some anniversary modifications, it could even be battery-powered. This top-of-the-line turntable incorporated all of Pink Triangle's developments, combining aesthetics and detailed sound. Finally, in 1997, Pink Triangle introduced Tarantella, a model that became a real technical and design breakthrough. Tarantella had an unusual, pink triangle-shaped, acrylic chassis supported by 3 metal pins. The motor and tone arm were mounted on metal consoles at the edges. According to experts, Tarantella impressed audiophiles with its open, crystal-clear sound and became a stylish interior design item thanks to its striking appearance. Despite its technical prowess, Pink Triangle's commercial success was more modest. Although the devices received rave reviews from the press, their sales were significantly lower than those of their competitors. Pink Triangle products were not as popular as, for example, the Sondek LP12 model from Lin. In addition, by the 1990s, the company was trying to produce amplifiers, digital-to-analog converters, and CD transports, but these products also sold very poorly. As a result, in 2003, the company was forced to close. This marked the end of the first era of Pink Triangle. The brand left the global market, as did many other classic audio companies of that time. After Pink Triangle, Arthur Khoubesserian founded the Funk firm, which produced turntables based on a similar philosophy: lightweight rigid chassis and DC drives. Interestingly, the Funk firm gained fame primarily thanks to the modernization of the Lin LP12, an old rival of Pink Triangle. Thus, the ideas of the Pink Triangle lived on in the new company. In fact, the Funk firm became the direct philosophical heir to Pink Triangle. In 2022, to the surprise of the audiophile community, the Pink Triangle brand returned to the scene. The company unveiled its new Blue Danube turntable, which was exhibited at the Bristol Hi-Fi Show in February 2023. This high-precision turntable incorporated virtually all of Khoubesserian's ideas: the isolation bubble theory, maximum sub-chassis decoupling, electronic speed control. In addition, the creators of Blue Danube offered potential buyers the opportunity to choose the color of the chassis finish themselves. According to company representatives, the debut of the Blue Danube symbolized the return of the famous brand at its best. The revival of Pink Triangle sparked interest among old vinyl fans. Arthur Khoubesserian's legendary ideas lived on in a new and interesting model. However, after the presentation of Blue Danube, there was no news about the revived Pink Triangle, so it remains unclear what exactly is happening with the brand today. However, it is known that Arthur Khoubesserian is still actively working in the vinyl industry. He was present in person at the high-end Munich 2025 exhibition, representing his company the Funk firm, and gave interviews discussing the development of analog sound and the history of Pink Triangle. The story of Pink Triangle is an example of how a small British company was able to influence the entire vinyl industry. Even decades later, its engineering principles live on in designs, approaches, and attitudes towards analog sound. The brand may disappear and reappear, change its form and appearance, but the ideas behind Pink Triangle have become part of vinyl history, and that is its main legacy. Thank you for watching until the end. Don't forget to support the channel. And as always, until the next video.